this is RadTechShoe, and I have another installment in my Rad Reviews, and in this video we're going to be discussing Dishonored 2. And I know the gameplay doesn't quite match up with what we're going to be talking about, but I decided to change things up for my Rad Reviews from here on out. We're going to be changing up how I do them. I'm going to give you guys gameplay that's a bit more interesting and entertaining, but I'm still going to be talking about the certain various topics. Like for this time, we're going to be doing my review on Dishonored 2, and whether or not it is a worthy successor to Dishonored 1, and what my likes and dislikes are, and so on and so forth. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay tuned at the end of the video for the overall score I give it. And without further ado, let's get right into the story. The story for Dishonored 2 is pretty straightforward. It's pretty much a carbon copy of the first Dishonored game. And in a good way, though. It doesn't copy so much of the bad elements of the first Dishonored game. I mean, technically, there were no bad elements of the first Dishonored storyline. I found the first Dishonored storyline very entertaining, and this one, although it's not as surprising or entertaining, it's pretty much, you know, you're copying what works. The storyline for Dishonored 1 was all about revenge. Revenge solves everything, and that plays true here in Dishonored 2. You're at the top of the Empire, you're at the top of the pecking order, you're large and in charge, you're the ones in authority, and there's a planned coup from inside, and there's treachery amongst your ranks, and now some of the people you had trusted turn out to be your enemies who were scheming and plotting against you, and now you've got to get revenge and take them out and take back what is yours. That's the plot of Dishonored 2 in a nutshell. However, you get to play as either Emily or Corvo. You get to play as either Corvo, the hero from the first game, or you get to play as his daughter here in this game, and each one of them offers different character interactions with other characters in the story, although not drastically different. However, there are some fun differences, and you learn some interesting things about other characters and stuff like that, so on and so forth. The story is pretty much a carbon copy from the first Dishonored game. It's not really a bad copy, it's just uninspiring and really, it's just like, it's the same thing. We've done it before, now we gotta go do it again. Now when it comes to the combat system also makes a returning appearance. The combat system, where you can sneak around and you can either assassinate or strangle enemies and choke them out, you can either spare or kill enemies, that also makes a return appearance here in Dishonored 2 as well as various particular items, the crossbow, certain grenades and stuff like that, spring razors, stun mines, and this game has all the tools and some new ones from the first game. Like, for instance, howling bolts and blinding bolts, where you can shoot enemies with a specifically typed crossbow bolt, and it will make them forget that they encountered you, and they'll run away, and then they'll act like they never saw you in the first place. So some of these are very interesting and unique weapons. So the combat system has been spruced up, and not only has it been spruced up, but it's also been revamped. There are new blueprints, and blueprints you can find throughout various levels that allow you to use upgrades. These upgrades are available through the Black Market Shop mechanic. The Black Market Shop mechanic is essentially where you go to buy items, to buy ammunition, to buy potions and mana elixirs, and so on and so forth. So the shop mechanic is the place where you use the blueprint upgrades to upgrade your equipment. The equipment upgrades are very useful, especially stun mines. Stun mines became one of my favorite items in the game. You can set them on the ground in a path where you're expecting an enemy to come through, and it'll stun them, knock them out, and other enemies will hear what's going on, and other enemies will hear that, they'll go, what's going on? Then they'll leave their planned route of patrol, and they'll come see and find out what happened to their enemies. So by using the stun mines, you can take out one or two enemies, distract other people, and sneak by, or plan to assassinate them as, however you see fit. So the combat system has been improved upon, and it's a welcome improvement. Now, when it comes to audio and visuals, the audio and visual aspects also retained relatively the same, they've stayed the same. The visuals are kind of dark and depressing in a lot of areas. Some of them can be bright and cheerful, although I felt like in the first Dishonored game there was a little bit more bright colors, and the atmosphere didn't feel quite as dark and as depressing. That could just be me, but it felt like Dishonored 2 had a slightly more darker atmosphere. It may be because of the fact that the main villain is Delilah. She's a witch, and she claims to be the half sister of your late mother, the former empress. So it could just be that dark atmosphere of a family fighting amongst each other. But I don't know, just the atmosphere and tone of the game felt a little darker than the first one. It could just be me. However, the audio aspects of the game, the music really isn't all that great, although there is some aspects of the game that where, you know, like the classical music is used rather effectively. The game itself is rather fun and entertaining with its audio and visual aspects. It still maintains certain atmospheres being dark and depressing, like I said. So, audio and visual wise, that's what I've got. Now, the shot mechanic, the blueprints, and the chaos system, they're in this game. The chaos system once again returns. The more enemies you kill, the higher your overall chaos rating gets. The fewer enemies you kill, the lower your overall chaos rating gets. And it's important to try and experience both because each one offers a unique challenge. However, high chaos rating doesn't make the game significantly harder, in my opinion. It's just a slight increase in difficulty. It doesn't feel like it's a drastic increase in terms of difficulty or toughness. Now, when it comes to the overall opinion of the game, this game was very fun, and it was very fun to try certain things out. There are certain tasks, however, in the game that I'm not a big fan of. For instance, the trophies. The trophies in Dishonored 2, and once again, I know, yes, trophies are not required. You don't have to fulfill trophies in order to play the game or even beat the game. Just play the game normally and you'll fulfill certain requirements. However, some of these trophies, in order to get a platinum, some of these are really, really frustrating and difficult and just, god dang, they're irritating. That's the biggest complaint I have about this game, and go figure, it's a complaint that's optional. That just speaks to volumes about how good the game is at its core. But one of the optional things is I'm not a huge fan of how frustrating some of these trophy challenges are. Like, for instance, play through the entire game without getting a kill. That's not too difficult. However, if enemies die because they accidentally killed each other, that's on you. One of the other challenges is play through the entire game without ever being discovered. That can be frustrating because you're going to be constantly reloading. Another one is play through the entire game without using magic, because at the beginning of the game, when you meet the outsider once again and he bestows upon you the ability to get magic, you have the ability to reject his offer. You don't have to pick up magic if you don't want to. You can play through the entire game without using any magical abilities. It's going to make the game insanely hard, in my opinion, since magic is what makes this game much more fun and enjoyable. But if you want to do that, that's up to you. But I am not a masochist. I did not like some of these trophy challenges, and eventually they just got so frustrating, I just decided to give up on my quest for platinum for Dishonored 2. So that's the biggest complaint I have, is it's an optional complaint, yes. It's not mandatory that some of the trophies be required. You don't have to go for the trophies. You don't have to at all. But it's very frustrating to deal with that. However, truth be told, the game in and of itself is solid. The game is a very solid entry into this video game. It's dark, it's depressing, it maintains just about everything that was good about the first game. And really, to be perfectly honest, the biggest complaint I have is a complaint that's entirely optional. You don't have to try and go for trophies, you don't have to stress yourself out. It's just, it would be nice if during the next time around, if they do make a third Dishonored game or other games like this, that they don't try and focus so much on creating these ridiculous stipulations and challenges. That's very frustrating, and it takes away from the gaming experience to try and fulfill these, because I'm one of the people that's trying to now get platinum on a lot of things, and I wasn't too thrilled with some of these requirements for some of the trophy challenges. But other than that, this game's got a lot going for it. It's very fun. I definitely enjoyed it. I'm gonna have to give this game an overall rating of 8 out of 10. We've revamped the scoring mechanic and scoring system that I'm going to be doing for my rad reviews now. The story is the same as the first one, just with different names, different characters switched out. The combat system is the same combat system, but significantly improved. You have more tools at your disposal, more toys to play with, and the art and the graphics and the audio is pretty much also taken from the first game. There are a lot of elements from this game that are taken from the first game. So overall, it gets an 8 out of 10. The biggest complaints I have are the fact that they do have to copy several things from the first game. Granted, they're copying what works, but even still, it is a little uninspiring and not as inventive as I would have liked. However, it doesn't make this game bad, by far. This game is a very good game. It's a worthy successor to the first game. It may not be as revolutionary or as amazing a feeling to play through. However, there are plenty of aspects of this game that I find enjoyable. And that's it for my rad review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, comment down below, follow me on Twitch and Twitter, check out some other videos of mine, and I will see you guys all later.